the PMD Buyers Club. I'm your host, Andrew Silva. Really excited to do today's show. It's grey, it's cold, it's wet, and also apparently it's breakfast week, and I didn't plan this, but we're actually tasting a line of breakfast teas. We're doing this for a client. Incidentally, it's going to be the first episode on the show where we actually do some blending of teas, as opposed to, do straight line. Obviously we are tasting straight lines, but where we actually do it for the purpose of blending to make a blend. Now, tea blending is what you usually get in the supermarkets and with a lot of teas. The reason why people blend is because you're trying to keep to a standard. You're trying to keep to a specific standard that will not change throughout the year. So at certain times, you might use a bit more of one tea or a bit less, but you're trying to create a standard where you have continuity. Single estate teas will vary season to season. They're going to change. The tea that we made this year will not be the exact same tea that you make next year. Again, from week to week, day to day, you have these changes. The reason why you have a blend is so that you can keep that consistency in your tea. But at the same time, you don't end up enjoying tea as much, which is what I think. But then again, with blended teas, you are able to create some very interesting flavors because you're taking a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're making some very interesting and signature tastes. So we're making a breakfast blend today for a client. I've got 3 teas. One of them I've already picked. It's this tea here. It's from Lakshapana Estate. It's a little lighter in color than what you usually expect. It's going to give us the brightness. It's going to give us the flavor. It's going to give us, the end cap to the tea. But because it has this brightness and it has this flavor, it's lacking in the depth for the body of the tea. This is a tea that you want to have with milk. It's a tea that you want to have, to wake you up. It needs to have strength. So what we're looking for in these 2 samples is teas that will add that strength. It's got to have the thickness, it's got to have the color, it's got to have the flavor. So I'm going to have a look at these 2 teas here. I don't know which estates they're from. When you're blending teas, and sometimes even when you're tasting teas, what I like to do is I like to taste them blind, in the sense of when you hear of a certain name, you automatically gravitate towards that because maybe you buy from it, maybe you know the estate manager, maybe it has a certain reputation to it, and sometimes sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not always good, because in certain aspects there are other teas that you then tend to overlook, and maybe you might bring your own personal bias. So I've got sample A and sample B. Let's have a look at sample A. BOP grade of tea we're using here. Leaf style can be a little bit improved. I don't like the grading of it, to be honest. The grading aspect of this tea is not good. Let's have a look at the nose of it. You're getting that upcountry tea smell. You're coming into the season. I'm not sure where this tea is even from, but we know that they're going to be the Bulla teas. That's how much I know. Whether it's Muscatine, whether it's Upcut, whether it's Talawakere, I don't know. Little seasonal hint coming out of the tea. Little seasonal hint. The grading can, I think, be improved. There's a little bit of stalk, but the particle size looks black, and the size of the particles is good. There's a consistency. If I just put some of the leaf here, there's a nice consistency in the actual leaf, which is nice, but I think if we can maybe sift it a little bit more, we would be able to get rid of a bit of the excess fibre, a bit of the excess stalk that's sitting in that leaf. Let's have a look at sample B. Again, not knowing where the tea is from. Let's have a very fresh smelling tea, but getting a little burnt note coming out of it. It's my first thing that I get is a little burnt note coming out, which is unusual because you see that burnt characteristic coming through in a lot of the low country teas, because you're trying to create that black leaf character. In the upcountry leaf, a lot of the times you see the particles being very brown in colour. In the low country, you're trying to get that blackness, and to get the blackness, what a lot of the producers do is they increase the dryer temperature. But when you're increasing the dryer temperature, one of the problems that you have is that you will get this burnt note coming out in the tea. The only way that you can improve on that burnt note, especially for the guys who are doing upcountry leafy manufacturing, there's only about a few of them, is to fertilize better. So if you fertilize well, then you'll have a third and fourth succulent leaf. You can then put that into your rollers, and you can then bring out the real flavour. And you can also get the blackness in the leaf as opposed to setting the dry temperature at a higher pace. Sample 2, a lot more stalky, browner in colour. Particle size wise, it's okay. Again, grading is good. We're keeping 2 grade. This is one of the biggest problems that I've seen in Sri Lanka recently, where the grading is just completely off. You've got BOP in the BOP, you've got BOPF in the BOP, you've got dust in the BOPF, and the dust one just looks like sand. It literally looks like sand. You put it in the cup and you've got sedimentation in the bottom of your cup. So, still a little burnt note coming out of it. I don't know why, it's very, very odd. Little burnt note coming out. Nothing else coming out in terms of taste or in terms of smell. So let's have a taste of these teas. Coming into the middle season, I'm just gonna taste this first one, the lighter, brighter one, which we've already agreed on. Right, we're looking for a tea to complement that. I've got the mouth set. I know where we need to sort of hit now. Let's have a look at sample A. Sample A. Not much nose coming out of it. If I look, little coppery hint. You're starting to smell just the beginning parts of the season. It's been very dry quite recently up in the upcountry. I know that it rained yesterday in Colombo, which isn't good. There's also a dengue outbreak in Colombo as well, which isn't good. No nose coming out of this. If I taste it, smell the 2 of these. Big nose out of this one, no nose out of this. A little bit of fresh cut flour, a little bit of blueberry in the morning breakfast maybe, no pun intended, linking it back to the breakfast week thing. But out of the nose, this one here. Nose on this, incidentally, lot more fragrant. This tea was manufactured about 2 weeks ago. Lot more fragrant. It beats it in terms of nose. But we are looking for a tea that is thick and coloury. Thick and colour is what we're looking for. So let's look at sample A. Sample A is very thick and coloury. It's got the body. It's got the body, guys. It's very thick and coloury. This is the kind of tea that you want to add to complement this lighter, brighter tea. Let's give this tea a taste. It's got the character. It's got the character. It's about 80 to 90% there, I would say around the 85% range. I want it with a bit more character. But it's there. You're feeling that thickness around the palate. You're feeling a little bit of maltiness on the sides. Very thick actually, very, very thick. It's sitting around my palate right now. Interesting. Let's see what sample B has. If you look at sample B, not as much body in the cup. It doesn't have the body, it doesn't look as thick as sample A. I think this one will be weaker. I don't think it's going to have as much body. Let's have a taste. Exactly how I said it. A lot more flatter, lacking flavour. It's the midpoint between this sample that we've agreed on and this. It's the midpoint. I'm not even going to bother to combine the 2 teas together and see how they sit and compare it against the original sample. There's no point. This one's completely out of the running. It comes down to sample A. But the question is, by adding these 2, are we going to get the best flavoured tea? I'd like to see what else is there in Colombo and to see what else we could get. But we do have the thickness, we do have the coloury character coming out, which is exactly what I wanted. But I just feel maybe with a tiny bit more. What I am going to do, episode 46, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to hit this one up for you guys tonight. Episode 46 will come out on Wednesday. I'm going to combine a bit of this and a bit of this and see how that tastes against these 2. And then we can move forward on finalising the blend. Big shout out to African Queen 555. I think it's 555, but African Queen. Hope you subscribe to the channel and hope you keep watching the videos. Big shout out also to last week to Isha and some of the others who dropped in and said hi via email. Great to hear from you guys. Drop the comments in the comment section below. If you're watching this on Facebook or whatever, share it out with your friends. And if you ever have any questions on team, want to email me, email straight into the company. Our email is info@pmdt.co.uk. I read all of your emails and I will reply back to each and every one of you. Guys, thank you for watching. Have a great week and thank you for tuning into the T-Buyers Club.